everybody. Welcome to another Tuesday. Running just a little behind. Lisa is
Hi.
MIA, so we'll see what happens. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, you guys have a good weekend?
I had a great weekend. Actually, I went Northwest Adventures is live now. Okay. I actually usually on the weekends I try to do like a trip and try to get away, go camping or something and try to find something new. So I actually don't fish the water around the city very often. Like I really don't. So we got like Waman, Lac St. Anne, Lac Lenon. We got all these lakes around us, and I usually just like zoom right by them. So now this weekend, I'm just like putzing around locally. It's fun. Like there's nothing big, but well, maybe there is. Maybe I'm sure there could be, but I haven't caught one yet. But it's still fun. So, and I told you guys last time that I was gonna work on driving my boat, getting confident in my swell fish.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing the last 2 weekends, and it's getting fun.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
getting
that's awesome.
pretty comfortable in it. So yeah,
That's
except that it's just when I pull on the pull cord,
Yeah.
I'm not strong, so I got to use 2 hands every time. And then right when you're about to like pop it off, there's a couple of times where I've almost either elbowed somebody in the face or like went overboard. But so far so good.
Still sit at the very front of the boat.
Yeah. Probably gonna get a button start eventually.
Yeah. Tasha, I know you've been on a fishing spree lately.
Well, I was lucky. I had a week off, so I toured around. But then I came straight back to work, and it's been crazy busy because it's summertime now. But the first day that I went fishing, it snowed on me. Like, I literally made a snowing. Yeah, I knew it was going to be a bit chilly, but I didn't think it was going to be that cold. There's probably like 3-4 inches of snow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, up in
That's
Livingstone,
crazy.
it was so funny. Like, well, good thing I brought like my ice fishing bibs and my jacket just in case. So I actually pulled those out and wore them over my waders. I was like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna freeze by myself out here today.
That's crazy. Snowing.
Right?
And he said if everything's pretty high down there.
Yeah, I'd say everything's pretty high, and it's holding pretty high too. Like some of the creeks were starting to clean up a little bit. And the rivers are cleaning up a bit too, but there's still a few that are pretty dirty. Like Old Man is pretty dirty still, but I think it has a lot to work with. There's a bunch of logging at the top, and it was such a dusty, dry year last year.
Yeah.
Oh, there she is.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, everybody. Sorry.
Hey.
Oh, you made it.
I did. Sorry, guys.
We thought you were a goner.
No, we didn't.
Close.
What, you stayed on the lake too long?
No. Not on the lake. I'm sorry. Okay, keep going. Somebody was talking. My apologies.
That's
Go.
okay.
No, we're all good. We're all good. We can move on.
You didn't even tell us about your adventure, Tasha.
Yeah, you showed a picture of this nice bass.
Yeah, it was fun. Like once I kind of decided to leave the rivers for a bit just because they were so high and I couldn't really do much. And when you can't cross, you sort of run out of space. And so I went out to BC a day early and fished some lakes out there and caught some bass and some sunfish. So that was pretty sweet. It was super nice. The first day I got there, it had just rained, but it was still like 22 degrees out while it was raining. So I started fishing, and then the storm cleared up, and I had like a beautiful sunset. It wasn't even windy, just like shore fishing around the docks and stuff for the bass and sunfish. It was so sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Like, yeah, I think this was a good decision to come to BC a day early.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. It flies by when you're out there, I tell you.
Yeah. Beautiful country.
Oh yeah, I love it.
I tried to go there last year, but they had all those forest fires going through. So they had a lot of it like blocked off and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's on my bucket list.
Yeah, that's why I tried to go early this year, just because I was worried that might be the case again, because so many places are still so dry out there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard from a couple buddies that live out there. It's been moister than the last 6 or 7 years anyway, so that's good.
Yeah, I think some of the areas closer into the mountains are pretty good, and then once you get a little further out of that, a little past Cranbrook and stuff, it starts to get pretty dry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. How was your weekend, Lisa?
Yeah, weekend was good. Did some fishing and hung out with the family, and yeah, it was good. We're up in Lac-La-Biche country, so
Nice.
no complaints. No complaints.
For sure. Any big walleye?
Yeah, actually caught a couple.
Great.
I might have even actually screamed on one of them. I was pretty excited.
Yes.
Yeah, and I had my grandson on the boat, and so I was jigging for walleye, and I caught actually a decent pike, and then put him back, and I kept fishing, and right after that I caught another one. I thought at first it was a pike, but then the behavior was just tugging down, and it was just this beautiful walleye, and yeah, I screamed, and I was excited.
Nice.
Nothing to measure it with, but it was a big walleye. So.
Is that the walleye you had in the podcast banner?
Nope.
Okay.
No,
That was
thank you. Yeah, no, that was from the fishing derby from the tournament.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
That's-
it was good. It was good.
So going kind of over what you guys did the last little bit and the species you kind of target, what were you guys kind of using for gear? Like what's kind of your go-to for those different species? We'll start with Amber and just go.
Well, I've been pretty much just on a big pike hunt for probably the last like 3 weeks now, 3 or 4
Yeah.
weeks. I just find them fun on the fly rod. So I've been just using, just like a sinking line with my flies, all my flies that I've tied. So I don't know. I could show you guys them, but that's pretty much all I'm using. So I'll just like mix up my flies and drop them down there. So I'm using I think it's 10 weight rod. Not that I need that for like all of the pike. It's more for tossing the bigger flies.
Yeah.
You need that like heavier line to kind of get those big flies out there. But yeah, so it's been fun. Got some walleyes on some of those big flies too.
Nice.
So they're kind of the bycatch of what I'm targeting, but it's always fun because they actually fight. Like they're just as awesome to catch on a fly rod. They bend your rod right over too, right?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, so that's pretty much what I've been up to this last couple of weeks. And I'll probably do that for the next 2 more weeks, and then I'll probably switch it up.
Yeah.
Still probably a good another week or 2 left of good pike fishing left.
What length are those? Like 6-inch?
About 6-inch, and then they can extend up. Will be like when you have the longer feathers.
Yeah.
8 to 12 inches.
Oh yeah.
For sure, but like the bulk of the body is going to be about like 6 to 7 inches. Yeah.
What's your favorite color to use?
I have to name it, so I haven't named it yet. Or something, I don't know. But I've caught all of my big pike on this one fly, and I still haven't lost it yet. So I should probably retire it, so I can redo it. But yeah. I've posted it a few times. It's the black Buford head, and it's got like green chartreuse sparkles going out throughout the body.
Yeah.
And then it like finishes off like purples and some like feathers and stuff. And when it poofs out in the water, it just like kind of like explodes like a jellyfish and
Oh,
kind of like
Oh,
pulsating.
cool.
Yeah, and yeah, it's probably my favorite fly for sure. I've almost lost it a few times, and I was pretty committed on trying to get it back. I did. So
sweet.
yeah.
Ta- Tasha, what were you using for the largemouth down there?
I used a little bit of everything. I was spin fishing, but I used a lightweight setup, and I had a couple different rigs. I had one with an inline hook and just a drop shot underneath, and I was using plastics. I had a variety of different kind of worms, and then I also like catching them on spinners, so I tossed some spinners too. Um, and I don't know, those are awesome because sometimes they'll follow, they won't bite it right away, but they'll
Yeah.
follow it right to you and bite it right in front of you. And so it's a lot of fun to watch them do that. And it was
Nice.
pretty cool too because they were cruising in the weeds. So I got to do some sight fishing for them, which was
Yeah,
awesome.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that was exciting. And the little turtles were out at Baines, so that's always another one of my favorite parts of bass fishing is the painted turtles because we don't get to see them very often.
Yeah.
So I love when they come out. That's always good. You just got to make sure you don't catch turtle. That's the thing.
Yeah, that wouldn't be fun.
No.
Lisa?
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a different year for me. I've focused quite a bit on for the tournament, and so with walleye, kind of my go-to has been obviously doing a lot of jigging and using frozen minnows with just a simple jig head with a grub. I kind of like the double tail. When I'm not doing that, I'll work with my different spoons, different sizes, depending on what they're doing. And again, whether I will troll with them, whether they're spread out, if they're on top of each other, whether they're biting. I mean, it's been a little bit of a different season. I mean, I saw them where they're kind of stacked on top of each other and they're not biting. And so again, just trying to get them to bite and so ripping some jigs and bottom bouncing, pulling some blades. Used quite a bit out of the toolbox, just trying to get them going. And the water temperature was a little different. The water was down quite a bit this year. The water temperature was down, so it made a difference. So yeah, it's been a little bit different. And then same with pike. Just seeing actually more pike out of Labiche this year. Obviously, my focus has been there because the tournament was there, and so anyways, catching them also on kind of everything I've been doing with walleye, the pike have been coming after. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's kind of what I've been finding.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried just downsizing to like a tiny tungsten when the bite's slow?
No, I haven't. But definitely, I know. I think you and I were talking about that one day. That is definitely a kind of a go-to for you, right?
Yeah, sometimes I'll go just tiny. And with those 1-inch minnows that you can sometimes get, but that are pretty hard to find.
Yeah.
But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, since I had to work all weekend, I'll just go over my Laker stuff. It's just a simple power bait tube, 4-inch, with an ounce and a half weight jig, but I'll throw a skirt underneath it that's scented as well.
Mm.
And you can buy those. I think Delta makes them, and they're in a 5-pack. And there's you can get the glow ones too, and all you do is just chop the top of their heads off.
Oh, okay.
Then since this thing's been chewed up, it's easy to show. You just chop it off, chop the head off, slide it on, it's locked, and you see you're just putting this back on, and it was still kind of a tube.
Oh, yeah,
then it's complete.
Nice,
Oh,
Rich.
that's awesome.
But that's a simple rig, and seems to be a little cheaper than buying one built sometimes. And just that extra scent, I've seen it do very well compared to different baits. I don't know if it's just something they don't see very often or just that scent, but seems to work good.
That's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go and grab my fly because since I talked about it, I'm gonna show you guys. Okay, so just keep talking. I'll be back.
Okay. Howdy, everybody watching. What do you guys got planned next?
I don't know. I'm kind of playing the rivers by ear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The rivers are pretty high, hey?
yeah.
Yeah. Most definitely. I couldn't cross any rivers. So hopefully in a week or two they'll be good.
Mm.
Yeah,
Get
I'd
some
like to
nice
head out.
weather and melt all that snow out west.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be nice to head out in a couple weeks for sure. I think
Yeah.
they'll be down.
Oops.
Yeah, I think so. Everything's just a little bit behind. Even like certain things, like certain flowers that I noticed are always in bloom, were a little behind too. So it's just that kind of spring.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited to see her fly.
Okay. I was just waiting for you guys.
I thought you were just you were leaving us in suspense.
So this is the one that I catch my big ones on, right there.
Oh, beautiful.
So yeah, it's been eaten a lot, but you can see it's got like the flash. Oh my goodness. It's got some ripple fibers in there and then just some feathers. Yeah. And it just like poofs out like that.
Nice.
That's the one. Of course, they all seem to catch. It's a pike, so they'll kind of go after anything.
Sean wants to know if anyone's going fly fishing this weekend.
Yes, I will be fly fishing this weekend for pike, probably just staying local. So if you see me on the water, I'm in that like that little like inflatable boat thing booting around.
Yeah, I think me and Aaron are gonna go somewhere. We don't know yet. I kind of wanted to go hit some rivers out west, but probably hold off. Might hit some spring fed just for fun, some little creeks, but maybe focus on a lake, maybe. But that's still a couple days away, so still have lots of time.
That's true.
Yeah.
And the Stampede's on, so we're going to Stampede tomorrow night. So
Oh, it's
I've
at that
never-
time
Oh,
already?
I totally forgot about that.
the Pinoca Stampede.
Oh,
great.
I was like, is the Stampede on? But that's next week, I think.
Yeah, no, Pinoca's this week. I think we're hitting up a concert tomorrow night, and
Oh,
then
nice.
hopefully head out Friday morning somewhere.
That sounds fun.
Yeah,
I'd
I
like
know that.
stampede.
Pardon?
I'd like a good stampede.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it should be a good time. We got lots of friends going, so it'll be a blast. Just got to get up early in the morning and go to work again. That's okay. With all the new people and stuff entering the sport and entering the West Country, we could talk a little about conservation and how to treat the land, I guess, out there. I know we kind of talked about it before, but I think it's something that should be talked about a fair bit, just so people kind of get the hint and can educate others as well.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody want to start first?
Well, the only thing, like I did see, or people are leaving, or there was a person, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, just was looking for some new spots, new access on the Saskatchewan, and there's still a fire that was still burning with nobody around, but like burning with like the flame still going. And it was windy out too. It was a windy day too. It's been windy all spring, but So we put it out, and I took some pictures of it and tried to like spread it out to other people. And the more that people keep spreading anything, any kind of information, I know that Tasha's been running into a lot of stuff. She actually showed a really cute sign today,
Mhm.
sent it to us. I forgot what it said. It was
Pick up your shit.
yeah, that's the one.
And then there's like a little rock underneath that part that says "Sorry, A" with a little maple leaf. I thought that was super cute too.
It's cute.
I was like, it's definitely a Canadian sign for sure. Wish I
Apologized
could
right away.
appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Passive
I
aggressive.
think with the fires, I think with the fires, remember, like lots of people, it has been a wetter spring, and lots of people just aren't thinking about it as much. And they're like, oh, it's been raining out, it's been doing this. So they're not putting the effort into putting them out. Because that's what I'm finding a lot of too. Like fires that were probably mostly put out, but also they're leaving fuel like wood as a fuel in the fire pit where there could be hot spots. And that's something, you know, when I'm cleaning up my fire, always soak the logs that haven't totally burned yet and then move them away from the source so that, you know, if it does catch fire, there's not much left for it to burn if that's something. But
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
don't
for
know.
sure.
That it seems to be that way anyway. I've seen a lot of fire pits that, you know, they're getting a lot of use, so people make their own, but there's lots of ash and all kinds of things and that can stay hot. I found a lot of melted broken glass in fire pits actually,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which
That's
is that can stay hot for quite some time.
absolutely.
Oh yeah, I made a silly mistake in my younger days where somebody threw a bottle in the fire and it popped, like it exploded and it shattered everywhere. So my like initial response was to go and grab the piece of glass and throw it back in the fire.
Oh no.
So because it's like melted, it's actually like stuck to my fingers and like kept burning.
Mm,
Oh
Don't do that.
no,
No,
not fun.
that would not be a fun
But
time.
yeah,
no, learn.
yeah, it's always good when you're filling that fire pit with water. Give it a good stir too, so you get that bottom stuff that's underneath there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And this thing I found, Erin brought it home. I don't know where she brought it from Nordic or something. But it seems like you can hold water in it and garbage. It's from the wildfire guys from Alberta, so
Oh, that's pretty
Oh, that's
sweet.
awesome.
and it just condenses into
Yeah,
nothing.
I like it.
And it's like
Yeah,
a
I
thick
like that
material.
too.
Yeah. It's thick material, so you could definitely carry water in it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But if you can find one. I don't know where she got it, but
Right.
she's not here to tell me,
Well,
so
I've got a couple, something a little bit similar from Dollarama, and then I've got a couple of those big, they're like dry bags, but they're pretty big,
oh yeah.
and those will hold quite a bit of water too.
Yeah.
So and they when there's nothing in them, they're easy enough to just roll up and throw in my pack, and they wash up good too. If you put garbage and stuff in them, they're easy to wash.
Yeah, it's a good idea too.
Yeah.
You carry a lot of garbage in a dry bag, depending on the size.
Mhm.
Right.
There's probably
like-
enough
Yeah, I
garbage.
try not to use plastic all the time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
if you're out
there's enough.
there, sometimes people don't, just they don't think about packing something like that. I mean, there's things on you that, yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but like you could take your rain pants, turn them inside out, right? Tie a knot, use that as a bladder bag to haul water for your fire. I mean, there are things you can do where if you didn't bring something, try to look at what you have on you that can help you, you know, um, assist with your fire or whatever, right? It's not always just about the pail or whatever that you're bringing.
Yeah, for sure.
I used
But-
someone left an empty Fireball bottle. I used that to put on fire one day.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can always just look around the campsite, kind of see what you find. Maybe someone left something.
There's always something.
Yeah.
You can, yeah, there's little things you can turn into stuff for sure. Rocks, even if you find a right shaped rock
Yeah.
or leaves, there's lots of different things. Water bottles.
Waders that don't leak too fast would be good. You can fit a lot of water in those.
Yeah. Um, with other conservation, I know we talked about fire and stuff, but like fish handling skills and whatnot, just to be a little, keep the fish a little healthier. What do you guys like to do?
Um, well, this is kind of something I just started doing this year. Just I've been taking a lot of newer people out this year, and a lot of people that haven't really had a lot of fish experience. So they obviously want to get a picture with they're excited about their fish, and they want to get a picture of it. So before, like I'm pretty comfortable with my fish handling, but they're excited. Like I have no idea what they're gonna do. So once I get the fish in the net, it's in the net, it's the hook's out, he's just chilling, right? So then I have time to like talk to the person. I'm like, are you ready? Do you have your camera ready? Can you sit? This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pick it up here. I'm gonna hand it to you. You're gonna hold it like that. Then I'll grab the photo, take it. Then I want you to lean over the and then release it. And I'm like, are you ready? So they actually do get ready. Everything's like good to go. Everything's staged. Then it happens. It's quick. They knew it was like we communicated. We both were on the same page. And I've tried that numerous times, and every single time it's been like flawless. Like just how smooth everything's been going. So it would if and that's just not even just that kind of goes with everybody. If everybody's kind of just like slows down, right? If the fish is in the water and the hook's out, he's just chilling, he's okay. So then we can just kind of like slow things down and start to like handle the fish properly instead of panicking or having the fish flopping around the boat and wrapping itself around with line, and it could be pretty messy pretty quick.
Yeah,
So, and it seems to be working. So,
for sure.
That's awesome.
No, that's good. I know for myself too, like there's a lot of times I have people who, they want to know how to take the hook out. They want to be more hands-on, more involved, right? And so with that, again, same idea, Amber, is keeping the fish in the net as much as possible. And so if that means, okay, we're going to try, like you say, talk them through it. And so you might take the fish, kind of lift them up out of with the net for 10 seconds, give them a try. And if it doesn't work, back in the water. Okay, that didn't work. We're going to try it like this, and again, it's really about, like you're saying, it's really about the fish and making sure that the fish is relaxed, trying not to stress them out, making sure that, and I'll only give the person a few tries, and then it's like, okay, you know what, now we need to just kind of get this done because we don't want to stress the fish out, and you can try again on the next fish. Like, as far as doing that part of it. And I think really explaining to them about, the gill plate and how, that really, if you do it right, there's no chance of them, for a pike or a walleye in particular, there's no chance that they're going to get hurt, and really, explaining that soft spot underneath the gill plate, that there aren't teeth there. And when you actually handle them correctly and hold them correctly, it's amazing that, you're not stressing the fish out. You're not going to get hurt, and the fish isn't going to get hurt. And then it's a quick release. And so same idea, Amber.
mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes a huge difference. And then as you're doing it, you're also educating at the same time. This is why I'm doing this. This is why, right? And then they can pass that message on as they continue their fishing journey.
100%. We always say train the trainer, right? I mean, and really that's kind of why we do what we're doing, isn't it? Is that we're here to make a difference, to help people, to educate, to train them or show them, so that now they're training more people to do it right and make a difference in conservation, proper catch and release, proper handling, I'm so passionate about it. It's something that is just so dear to me. And in all my workshops, I spend so much time really talking about proper fish handling.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know
Sorry, go ahead.
there's a lot of different people's opinions on different fish, but all fish should be handled the same, in my opinion, with respect and everything. I know people are a big stickler on sturgeon, but if you catch a rainbow trout, a walleye, you should treat that fish with the same respect as a
Yeah,
sturgeon.
100%.
It's all, they're all fish, they're all living. So treat them all the same, keep them wet as much as possible. I know when we were at Cole doing that tournament, we'd unhook it, put the net back in the water, get your camera ready for your quick shots, your measurement and stuff, then your quick hero shot, then the release. So it's just one easy flow, keep them in the water as much as possible.
Yeah, it was actually nice to see. I don't know where I saw it, but it was just in the last 2 weeks. I think it was the government of Alberta actually made a post on sturgeon, safe sturgeon handling. So, and it all was really good stuff. And it was nice to see that they were also trying to give out that message. Like we all, yeah, like respect all the fish the same. But for those people that have no idea or no respect, it's like, well, a message is being delivered. And if we just like keep spreading that, it was a good message. I think I might share it if I find it again.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and I think
Yeah,
it's
that's awesome.
super important too, because this past weekend was you could fish without a license, of course, still following all the regulations. And this being National Fishing Week, I mean, the whole idea is let's promote fishing. Take someone out fishing who's never fished before, fish with the youth, do something. And yeah, I just think it's so important to really focus or spread that message about proper handling. And something that I find really hard is, I'll be out watching or in an area where we're all catching walleye and someone will catch a pike. And, they kind of just, it's as if they've caught a snake. No disrespect to snakes. Just, it sort of seems like they just want to toss it or like it's like, and, or they'll kind of rip the lure out. And it's just, it shouldn't matter. Like you were saying, that it shouldn't matter what you're catching. Respect the fish. And so handle it properly, because so many people will say, I'll be on the boat, and the way that they've handled the fish, I mean, number one, they're stressed out, the amount of bleeding or whatever, they're like, oh yeah, but look, it swam away great. Yeah, it swam right to the bottom. It doesn't mean that it's going to survive. Right. And that's what, part of the message is that just because it swam away doesn't mean it's living. Right. No. Yes. And so trying to help people understand that, taking the time and doing things like, if especially for an example in a pike, because while I usually don't do that, but, if a pike swallows a lure right into its lungs, or gills, sorry, which can happen. I mean, it's okay to cut the line and to, pull the lure out through its gills, by the gill plate. And I've done that several times, and man, what a difference, opposed to trying to do it through its mouth. It probably would have died. It probably would have damaged the gills way too much. And by doing it just that way and making a little bit of a difference and taking that extra time, it's again just making that difference.
Yeah, I know something that I do a lot of, because I'm fishing by myself and I'm on the rivers, and there's certain places where you walk up to certain holes, I guess you'll call them, or stretches, and you're going to catch fish there. So I just make sure my pack's off, my phone's set up already, so I literally just have to push a button. The first thing I do is take that lure out of the mouth and stick that fish into some moving water. And like a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to let this trout go in this calm water, but you want it in some cool moving water, because that's the water that has the most oxygen in it. And so it's just, those are good things. You can take a quick snap. Sometimes you catch a fish and it's just too rowdy and you're not going to get a picture of it. So I'll just flip my phone to video and send a release, and she's on her way. That's the one thing when you're by yourself. Like, sometimes you get a photo, sometimes you don't. It's just
Yep.
kind of the way it is, but you just
Yeah.
get that moment for yourself, and that's okay too. More and more I'm less about, taking pictures of, like, I have my hero shots, but I'll take, I took maybe 3 or 4 on my last trip, and the rest of the shots I took were, a fish in my net, or little release videos and stuff, just because, that's one thing too with, like, I know all fish are the same and deserve their respect, but some fish just aren't as strong as others. And sometimes trout take a little more, to get revived back. And so, if I bring that fish in, and she's not zipping, or that, you notice it's a little lethargic, I'm going to get it into the right water right away and just release it. Because I think sometimes just the fish's health is more important.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That's
For sure.
great message. Great message.
Yeah, sit with them too. Like, just don't let them kick once or twice. Make sure they're strong.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like, I have,
make sure that fish is ready. And I have a nice big net too, so if the fish wants to move around in my net, it can do so safely, and it's not going to get twisted up. It's a rubber coated net, so it's nice and soft on their fish scales. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I had one last weekend that thought he was good. Then a little ways away, he went belly up, so we had to get to him quick. Then I sat with him for a while, I don't know, 15 minutes or something. The RCs came by and gave us some good wakes. So I was like trying to hold
that's
on to it as they went by. I was like,
Yeah.
well, that's kind of a dick move, but
That's good.
they weren't really going slow. They're just
Yeah.
scoping everybody's boats. But in the end, that 15 minutes I spent just holding on to that fish, it revived itself, and away it went back down.
Mm-hmm.
So just take the extra time.
There's another thing I kind of wanted to, I don't know if it's really thought of, but just when you're just, or just like the size of the hook, to match them with the fish. And the reason is because if I'm using a big 3 or 4 hook fly fishing, and I'm going for a bull trout, that hook is big enough that when it goes through the mouth, it could also go through the eye, like where the eyes are located. Same with a gold eye. The gold eye, they're very, very close. So when you hook it, there's been often times where you actually get the hook through the mouth and then back through the eye. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So then you're pulling on the back of the eye, trying to get the hook out. So I try to use smaller hooks for all those fish, that just how they're kind of designed a little bit, especially the more fragile fish like grayling and trout. So, and gold eye and moon eye. So just FYI.
Yeah. And barbless is always a good way to
And
go.
barbless, yes. Absolutely. That's a game changer. You just slide it out.
Yeah, no fighting with it. Unless you got like that one good chunk of cartilage, but it's still better than having a barb in there.
Yeah, and then if you hook yourself too, it's just a little quicker.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or
even on the weekend, I brought up this pike that just a beautiful little hook on the lip, nothing, right?
Okay.
It really didn't fight that hard. Everything was great. But man, I mean, putting him back, he had nothing left in him. But when I brought him up, he had been beat up so bad. He had over 10 marks in him, like between bites and wicked hits, whatever. I swear he probably was like, "Thank you. Could you just hold me?" I mean, not quite, but you know. He's like, "Don't put me back." Yeah.
Yeah, something down there is giving me a hard time. I'd rather stay with you.
Belly, just scratch my back. No, like,
Yeah.
he had nothing left. Like, because there was nothing. I mean, I just reeled him up. It was simple, easy, nice little. Like, I didn't even use pliers. I just took the hook out of his lip and, okay, you can go. He was like, no.
Bring me to a different lake.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
maybe the other side of the boat. Could you release me over here?
buddy.
But
That's awesome.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's just it. Like you never even know kind of, just a combination of what they've been through too. And I know that kind of
Yeah.
sounds crazy, but there's a lot of things that goes down under there that we don't know about.
That's
Oh,
funny.
for sure. Even sometimes, like when the bull trout start getting really feisty and you get cutthroats on, and they're just like, I've had a bull trout run into my shin trying to catch this cutty that I was netting, like just zipped out of a tree mess right at me. And
Yeah.
sometimes they're so aggressive because they're a bit of a scavenger fish too.
Yeah.
So they'll go for the easy eat sometimes. And yeah, I think that's just wild. Like, I'm sure there's definitely some fish along the way that are like, oh, okay, I definitely could sit in this net for a while and just get away from life. Kind of like us when we want to get away from our life. We're like, okay, we need a break.
Yeah.
Hammock.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a
No.
hammock.
Yeah. Yeah. We've caught like fish in the crow's nest. You have a good fight, then all of a sudden there's nothing and you're just bringing half a fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that bull got half of it. So
Mhm.
it's a hard life, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about on that kind of? I know with the temperatures in certain rivers, maybe to avoid those shallower rivers when the temperature gets up higher, just the oxygen
Yeah.
levels, the oxygen
I
I'm
think
levels
just
that's
charging
aren't
a
my
there.
phone.
good. Yeah. Well, and even looking at, I've noticed like we have so much silt coming in a lot of places. And so even those holes that had a little more of a decline in elevation, sure, the rocks are still there, but I've seen places where those rocks have slid out and those holes have lost half their elevation. And so the water pouring into that hole isn't hitting it as vigorously as it normally is, and that's not stirring up that oxygen too, because that's something with wintering holes and stuff. A lot of times there's a good source of water pouring in, and so I
Yeah.
kind of look for those sort of things, and there's places I'll avoid. But I have a little thermometer on my belt that I just, when it gets to that time of year, I take the temperature, and if it's above 17 degrees, I'm not fishing it.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I've lost some of my best big holes, like on the
Yeah.
ram, just due to runoffs. Like I
Yeah.
had one spot where I caught my biggest bull, and it's gone now. There was two like
Same here.
waterfall shelves. They're just shelves, two
Yeah.
back to back, and caught monster bulls out of there always. And now you go there, it's just a run.
Yeah.
Really?
One of my holes is like that too. And we used to jump off the rocks into it. And it was pretty high above the hole when I was a kid. And you wouldn't even touch the bottom. And like, I can't even jump into it now because it's probably only up to here on me. It's wild.
Yeah.
And all the big rocks have slid out. And maybe at some point they were a good home for fish, but now they're silted in underneath. So it's not like there's really anywhere for fish to hide in those holes anymore either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That high water changes so much. Like even little creeks we used to fish that are beaver dammed up that were just brookies stacked. And I'm like, big brookies. Beaver dam's gone now.
Yeah.
And it's
Oh
just
yeah.
a fast little creek pretty much now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
But
was down at the Red Deer last weekend. So we were supposed to do that canoe trip and float down, but the river was so high. There's beaver dams, like full beaver dams floating down, and
oh yeah.
yeah,
That's wild.
crazy. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's not going to be fun. We'll see what happens, I guess, when the water goes down. There'll be some new holes and structure.
Yeah, it could be. It'll be kind of fun going to explore like North Saskatchewan up here again. Be like, okay, what's new? You're down. What kind of surprises are gonna be?
Yeah.
I know Tasha was kind of wanting to bring up this point we talked about earlier. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, if you want to talk about it, with the
Like
high water
riverbank stuff.
creating. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I noticed a lot of. I spend a lot of time in the water when I'm fishing, and I cross, I don't know, I might cross 70 times in a day. And so, last year, well, the last couple years, everything was so low, and all those banks that we were on, you're walking on the bank and you're like, well, I walked here last year, it's definitely going to be firm. But all those shorelines really dried out quite a bit and just took a beating from the sun and stuff. And then now this year, with those heavy waters raging in, it's washing a lot of the soil and stuff on in the middle part of the bank. I even had sections where there's full on green grass on top, but all the dirt underneath was just washing away, and the grass was just falling into the river, big chunks of it. Lots of sand that was on the beach last year. If you're standing on it in early season in the water, it's not very stable. And there was one spot I probably stood there for about 45 seconds, and my 1 foot was almost up to my knee in sand. That's how quick that happened. So I obviously got out of that spot and went and found a big rock to stand on. But
Mm-hmm.
that's something. Even beaver dams, there's lots of places there's lots of places you have to cross a beaver dam, or you might stand on some of the logs at the back of it or something. And after being saturated in water, after being dry for so long, there's really nothing left to that wood, and you step in it and you just squish into it. So that's something. After the high water seasons, I think just looking at that debris, like you might go somewhere you feel really comfortable, but that shoreline's not the same this year as it was last year, and that's something I think every year we need to remember. But just being safe and looking out for those things like the sand, even test it. I got a big long handle on my net, so I'll shove it in and see how far I can get it into the sand, and if it goes in too far, then I'm not fishing there, because that's the worst thing by yourself. If you get stuck in sand and you have any kind of current, you could be done for pretty quick.
Yeah.
For sure. Lisa, you said Lac La Biche water levels are pretty low. Are you finding more obstructions for boats to hit or anything like that?
Well, it's kind of crazy. So in May, the water was down quite a bit. Like we had to actually put our boat lift as a standalone a long ways out.
Oh yeah.
And this past or a couple weekends ago, we actually brought the boat lifts back. No, this past weekend, sorry, we brought the boat lifts back in. So the water's come up about, I don't know, a good foot and a half.
Oh yeah.
So there's lots going on in the lake right now. A lot of, like you say, floating logs or whatever you might find. There's a lot of turnover. The lake isn't clear right now, which is kind of unfortunate because it was so beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, just lots going on. Got to be a little more careful when you're not just ripping across the lake right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Amber, North Saskatchewan's still going crazy. I heard there's lots of logs going down that too.
There was, and it was really, really high last week. I haven't seen it or driven over it in a couple days because I was Anthony Henday out west, so I haven't actually driven over it for a while. But it was definitely very, very, very high, and it came up fast too. Because that weekend that we went and looked at it, where we saw the fire still burning, it was 4 days later, and it went from a huge bank to like a 20-foot bank to 2 feet. There was nothing left.
Wow.
But I don't know what it's doing right now. But yeah, I'm not too sure. Might go and check it out on Thursday. So
nice. Are you gonna go from sturgeon?
I haven't decided yet. I don't know. I kind of go based off my mood.
Oh, yeah.
So many species to choose from. I mean, how does the girl choose?
Yeah, we kind of didn't touch on our last topic about being prepared, planning ahead to prepare for your trip and be prepared out on your destination. You guys want to rip through that quickly on stuff that you like to have like packed in your trip? Let's just say something you always like to have with you if you're just going for a day trip,
Duct
like
tape.
kind of
No.
your setups.
It's actually saved me before, actually.
Oh,
But
definitely.
yeah, there was this was I don't know 10 years ago or something, and it's floating the Kitimat in one person pontoon boats. And I always bring duct tape with me everywhere I go because it's so many purposes. And went to go and pull the pontoon boat back into the water, and there must have been a piece of shale, and it sliced like a big gouge in the bladder, or not in the bladder, in the shell. So luckily it didn't touch the bladder, and it just, the bladder was almost like puking out of the hole. Like it just wanted to just get out of this like big hole. And it's about a 10-hour float. We were maybe 3 hours in. So we had a long way to go. Yeah, so duct tape saved, and that was the first couple days of the trip. So that saved. I don't know what. I guess we would have just jumped on one pontoon, maybe. I don't know, but we would have figured it out. But the duct tape definitely saved that trip. But
Yeah.
this was, and we didn't have like those satellite, those spots and those Zolios that, like, I believe that everybody should have now. But
Yeah.
we didn't have those. So
Yeah, no, duct tape saves a lot of things. There's not much it doesn't save, I don't think, anymore. I remember we were back, me and a buddy 4x4, and we were just going hunting in his old Jeep. And then we parked and went for a walk. And we got back to it, and it was hill, and it was just snow, sleet, like 4 inches. Then we just had to give her the business to get back because it was a quad trail. We made about halfway, then just boom, the hub exploded out the side. So then we just kind of crammed everything back in and wired it and just duct taped everything.
Yeah.
And it held everything there till we were back. So
That's awesome.
good enough.
I know on my trips, I carry a few different things if I'm, say, doing a trip in a different province or something like that. But for the most part, it's a waterproof bag. It'll start with that. My spot phone, my first aid kit, things like, electrical tape or duct tape, whichever. From there, I have a water, some basic things, right? In case, water, a hat, just the simplest, your survival, like your little match set, this and that. If I'm parking my vehicle somewhere and I, haven't really told anybody where I'm at, I leave a note in my truck. I was in search and rescue for 10 years, and so I always like to leave a little note saying where I am, a kind of a map of what my plan is and when I'll be back. And yeah, just always knowing that I have enough that I can take care of myself or survive out there for at least a few days if something were to happen. And, a lot of times we don't, bear spray, a lot of times we don't think of, okay, I have this backpack, but if your boat flips over or you fall into the river, is it waterproof? Do you have it attached to you somehow, whether it's a tether strap, if you're on the river's edge, or, in the boat, obviously you don't want to be wearing it when you're casting, but is it tethered to you somehow that, if something were to happen? So just little things to think about.
Yeah, tie floating
Yeah,
buoy.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up that leaving a note in your car. Like I've been keeping the maps from each zone because I don't know about there, but down here they've redone and reissued the maps over the last couple of years that you can pick up at the kiosks all over the place. And so each zone I'm in, I have a map in my car, and my route is kind of marked out with a pencil, and I just leave that in my car.
Yep.
Because you never know.
It's true. And it's so simple. And I think, well, you used to be able to, you could even download, like search and rescue in different areas used to have their own forms that, you could just download, like a day form and leave
Okay.
it in your vehicle. Basically, it just asks you, I don't know, I can't remember now, 5 questions, like time you left, time you expect to be back, what your trip entailed, and you flip it over. It's not for everyone to see because obviously you
Yeah.
don't want anyone to see that in your vehicle, or put it in a Ziploc and whatever. But it is a great tool if something were to ever happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, it
I
is.
should do that.
You don't do that?
No, I just go.
You just go, I'm out.
Yeah,
People know where we are, so they'll know to follow the creek.
There you go.
Yeah, I always tell somewhere, like somebody who knows kind of the area I'm going to, like, hey, this is where I'm parking. I don't know exactly how far I'm going to get upriver or if I'm going upstream or downstream. They usually know the area. And for Christmas a couple years ago, my dad got me one of those Spot GPS trackers. So it's little and it fits in my pack. And that's another thing too. I always carabiner my pack to my wading. I got a little clip on my waders that I'll clip it to just in case.
Yeah, it's all the. Go ahead.
sorry. Just had another tip for people if they are going to go out on the rivers, just to know your if it's dammed or not, and if the water levels are going to go up or down.
Yeah.
Went on a trip 2 years ago in North Saskatchewan, and I packed all the gear and did an overnighter trip, and knew the water was going to drop, like just knew. So parked the boat in a spot that we thought would be good if the water dropped or whatever. Woke up at 6 a.m. and the boat was beached about 20 feet from the water.
Yo.
So
Hopefully it's your inflatable.
no, it wasn't an inflatable.
Oh.
Explorer jet boat.
Oh.
So it took us about an hour and a half, and I'm not a big person. I'm only 5 feet tall, but I can get tough when I want to be tough. But we rolled it on dock.
Just threw it on your back.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
right. I got her done though. So just took a long time. Well, I guess an hour and a half isn't too bad, but pay attention. Yeah, you want if you're gonna park it, like think about like how deep it's gonna be after the water drops, or else you can roll it on logs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Works.
Yeah.
And even the same too, Amber, you're saying like pay attention. I know I do quite a few solo trips like at lodges and stuff, and so it's myself and a guide that's going out, and you think, okay, well, this is great. I mean, I'm just trusting the guide, and I do. So any lodge out there, like I am trusting your guides. Don't get me wrong, but you always have to think, what if something were to happen, right? I mean, who falls and hurts himself, bangs his head? I mean, I don't know. So I usually get a quick lesson of the boat, his electronics, and then I'm always marking where we're headed, like just landmarks for myself as well. And it's maybe sounds crazy, but I'm also always, while we're out the whole time, like if something were to happen, okay, I know that landmark right there, that we could head there, and that seems like good ground. If I had to build shelter and I had to whatever, right? On my way back, if a storm came and he got hurt, like and I don't feel that that's paranoid. I feel like I'm prepared, right? Like I know that, again, I just know I could survive and it would be okay. And so that gives me confidence when I'm out there by myself. And so those are, again, just another little thing I like to do when I'm out and about by myself.
Yeah, I feel that way the same. I think just being out so long now, it's more just like, hey, that's a nice camp spot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a nice point.
Yeah.
Hey, look at that. That'd be cool to stay there.
Yeah.
I don't think of it as like survival areas now. It's more just like that's kind of where I'd go. That's where I'd like to be, and all those different spots. So, but there is people that don't think of that for sure. 100%. Lots of people. They
Oh
just
yeah,
trust that
for sure.
they're in your hands and they're just there to be there.
Mhm.
I think it takes a long time to grow up in the outdoors to just, it kind of just becomes melded into one with you.
It kind of takes
Yeah.
those times that it failed and you're like,
Yeah.
whoa, this can get serious. Like it was 2 weekends ago. Went out with a group of friends and uh the guy wasn't using the axe. He didn't chop his hand. He tripped and the axe wasn't head down and sliced the whole hand open.
Ooh.
So
Ooh.
go and grab the first aid kit, and this is what I want everybody to do. And I'm like, look at your first aid kits and make sure they have stuff in them and make sure they're good stuff and enough
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep.
Because
Super glue.
because
Duct tape.
I'm a nurse. So I opened up this like first aid kit and I was like, what? There's nothing in here. Like this guy needs stitches. So and we're away from shore. It's dark out. We're camping out all the time. So we had to do like some first aid. So I just like did my best job just taping it closed. It ended up closing, but you could see like the tendon and stuff. But after that, it was like, okay, first aid kits, upgrade them. Stuff will happen, especially if you're, away from vehicles and away in the bush, and you're not going to see anybody for like 2 days. So definitely looking at my own stuff, putting some medications in there too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just going a little further with that, just because it's just a really good point right now, is also checking the items you must have on your boat, right? Survival kit, or I mean your first aid kit, but also your
Flashlights.
Flashlights. Who has checked their batteries? Did you know that your kit probably doesn't come with batteries?
I throw a bunch of batteries in there.
But I usually don't. That's why I actually went and looked. So I was like, I should probably check.
Yeah, right. So just again, and just taking that extra time to look, is your rope still in good condition? Has it been weathered? Is it been rained on and kind of rotten? I mean, just same idea. Sorry, I didn't mean to take away from your story, Amber.
It's good. Yeah. All those little things you don't really think about. Yeah. Is your CO2 life jacket, has it been like
charged?
Yeah, like stuff like that. It's like
my fire extinguisher wasn't charged this year.
Oh.
But I just had to show them at Cold Lake when I went through boat check.
Yeah.
I know, it is ready to shake it.
I was like, yeah, look, it's good. But I went and got a new one after at Canadian Tire. And we got more rope just because we thought we might anchor somewhere, but then we never did. So we had like 150 feet of rope sitting in the boat now.
Yeah, it'll come in handy somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, I love rope. I can never have too much rope. You look at my truck, there's rope. There's rope everywhere just because it's so handy. The truck just keeps piling up with more and more. Like, oh, this will be good. You can do a tarp off this, or I can use this if this happens. So your doors are just full of just little knickknacks that you can use one time only. Mine are anyways.
I definitely, even like stuff you find. I found this awesome rope that was had braided loops on it with big metal clips, like just beside the river one day, and I was like, I'm gonna need this for something for sure. And then I also used it, so I clipped it around my waist, and I used it as like a safety rope when I was ice fishing one day.
Nice.
Yeah, like, well, that works.
Yeah, no, there's so many situations you can get yourself into out there.
Yeah.
And now I think I've been through most of them, so it's like, hey, okay, this is what we got to do. Oh, we don't have that. Well, let's try this now. It's all chill now, since you've kind of gone through like being stuck with no winch, having 2 trucks stuck with no winch. Everybody's stuck with no winch. We've had everything like -30 and can't get in the trucks. The keys are lost, and you're sleeping in a tent with no heat. And he got little sleeping bags,
make
so he
the
got winter coveralls on and like a tiny sleeping bag. And
You know, this sounds like a fun. What do they call those? Like the coffee table books. You know,
Oh
like
yeah.
they're just like quick one little page stories. Like
oh, I could write them all day from our shenanigans.
That's awesome.
Like once we're hunting, it was a newer guy to hunting. He said he hunted in BC before, but I don't know. And we took his little 2-wheel drive truck out west, and we're looking for a camp spot.
that was
We
your
pull,
first red flag.
Yeah.
we pull. Well, there's a little goat trail out the back, so we'd go out down a cut line and park somewhere. And then we kind of went in, got stuck. And I'm like, he's like, "Oh man, what are we gonna do now?" I'm like, "We'll just get out, man. We'll just kind of lighten the load, take some stuff out of the box, and we'll grab a jack and lift up your tire and start stuffing wood under it. And we'll just keep doing stuff slowly." And he went like, low bone, he's gonna die there. And I was like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "Settle down, like just relax." And he's just like, he starts hyperventilating and stuff. And I'm like, "Dude, relax. Like, everything's cool. We have everything under control. There's a main road probably like 2 kilometers away. There's gonna be a lease guy come down tomorrow for sure, if not tonight. There's hunters everywhere. We have all of our camping gear and food. Let's just set up camp and have a good night. Someone's gonna stop by. If no one stops by, we'll just walk to the road." But he couldn't handle it, and it was just nuts. And luckily, a hunter came in while he was just like going off the hook. Otherwise, I don't know what would have happened. Like he couldn't calm him down, and we never went hunting again.
Well, he did drive a 2-wheel truck. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
no, it's fine. It's just the things you got to deal with sometimes, I guess.
Yep.
But you guys got anything else you want to talk about? Any other fun stories?
I got locked in an outhouse once. Did I tell you about that?
No.
I was ice fishing in Kananaskis on New Year's Day, and the person I was fishing with, she left early, and then this storm comes in. So it took me a while to get my shack down and stuff, and I got up the hill to my car and I'm frozen, and I'm like, "Oh man, I really gotta pee, but I'm just gonna wait. I need to warm up." So I got all my stuff in the car and I drove around to the other side of the lake, and I was like, "Well, I'll drive in here. The sky looks really pretty with the storm coming in, take some photos and have a pee in the outhouse there. That'll be a little warmer." And it was super windy. So there's only like one set of the outhouse buildings open and no one else was there. I was the last person there by the time I packed up. And it was getting pretty dark out, and I looked for something to prop the door open and I couldn't find anything. So I just had my car was running. I had a hoodie and some pants on, and I go in there and the door closes and I hear this little tink. I was like, I wonder what that was. So I went to the bathroom, whatever, got changed, and started pushing on the door, and it would not open. And so you're supposed to be able to pull the trigger down on the inside handle and it'll lift up the barn latch on the outside of the door, but it was broken. So there was no way to lift the barn latch off. So I'm like freaking out a little bit. I was like, okay, I'm by myself. I'm like, I'm like maybe 5'3". There was a small little window, like, I don't know, probably this high in the door, and it had those metal grates in it. And so I'm like, wow, what am I going to do? Kick through the window? Like, what if I slice my ankle and then I'm left hanging there with my leg in the door and I'll die in this bathroom?
God.
So I'm like, okay. So I looked for something in the bathroom and there was a handicap rail on the wall. So I stood on the toilet, broke the handicap rail off the wall with my foot, and then broke the window and was able to lift that barn latch. So now every freaking time I use an outhouse, I lock the door before that thing closes because I'm going to the bathroom in there with the door open. I don't care who sees me, what happens, because after that, it was pretty cold and I was by myself. I'm like, I really don't want to die in an outhouse by myself.
No.
Yeah. And like for a while, I literally went to the bathroom with a crowbar. I was like, there's no way. I leave the crowbar in the car now. I got over that part, but it took a little while.
Yeah.
You're
It would
next
be-
level, Sasha. Things you do for fishing. Oh.
Would
I'm
it be a
always ready for some shenanigans.
There always is out there.
Yeah.
Well, we've gone for a while, but nobody else has a funny story.
Mm, I'll think of some more for next time.
Next time.
Yeah.
All right, where could they find you, Amber?
I guess Instagram Amber Fish with 3 H's, or just Facebook. My name's Amber Serban. That's it.
Tash?
Tashi Miss on Instagram and yeah, Facebook, just Tash Eaglesham.
Lisa?
On Instagram is Alberta_Roper_girl, and on Facebook, Lisa Roper Outdoors.
And you can find me here every Tuesday. And on YouTube at Northwest Adventures, or Northwest Mitch on Instagram. YouTube, Northwest Adventures, Northwest Adventure on Facebook, and Alberta Fishing Trips as well. Thanks for coming on, guys. It's always fun. We always have a good time.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Had some good
you.
stories. Till next time, everybody. We'll
Sounds
see you
good.
Tuesday. Or no, I might skip next Tuesday. It's a long weekend. I'm going to.
Oh yeah,
set up-
Canada Day weekend.
Yeah, but I guess I don't get Monday off.
Mm-mm.
No, I
But
got Friday off this time.
Yeah, we have Friday off too. But I think I'm going to try to figure out the laptop to do this so we can bring in other pictures for stuff to comment on. Make it a little
that'd
more
be cool.
fancy.
Cool.
Like when we
Ooh.
can see Sasha in the outdoor toilet with the door just wedged open. I don't really
Yeah.
want to see the toilet, but I'd like to see
We'll
this.
bring up a picture.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
after this chat, I'm gonna send you a video of my most favorite bathroom I've ever found, and you're gonna just die. It's so cool.
Okay. Awesome. Can't wait.
Okay, guys.
All right.
We'll talk soon.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
See you, everybody.
Yeah.